Do you know, I actually had a dream the other day that you taught me how to take blood from someone because you told me it was a good, valuable life lesson.
I mean, to be fair, if you're ever in a war situation... What's up, witches? Hi, I'm Claudia.
And I'm Jess.
And welcome to True Crime Coven.
Hey, Claudia.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Trying not to melt in this heat, but
yeah, I'm sat here with a frozen hot water bottle on my lap.
Lovely.
And it's honestly the life hack everyone needs. I mean, I think we'll be out of the heat wave by the time this goes out.
I know. I was going to say, like, are you ready to melt on Monday? But actually, by the time this comes out, Monday would have been a week ago.
Yeah. So if we're still in a heat wave, because, you know, climate change.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, freeze a hot water bottle. It is a bit of a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
because, like, I actually got cold earlier with it.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't freeze you like the way you think it would.
I guess
because you've got the cover on it.
Yeah, I was going to say protective layer.
The protective layer.
But no, I was going to say I hope everyone survived the heat wave and you didn't melt. It's supposed to be like 35.
Yeah, I'm not good with heat at the best of times.
So I am quite good with heat normally, but it's on a Monday. I'm going to be in work. I'm also 7 months pregnant now. My feet swell up anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to struggle through Monday.
I've always said that if I ever decide to have kids, I would hate to be pregnant during summer. So whilst I don't understand your pain, I'm like, I feel for you.
Yeah.
It would be my worst nightmare.
To be fair, I think I'm probably better. Like, I'm basically a snake. Like, I love the sun.
Do snakes love the sun?
Yeah, that's how they get their heat.
All
they
snakes?
like basking in the sun. Or a lizard.
Okay.
Basking in the sun.
I'm more like a wolf then.
Okay.
I don't do heat. If I'm on holiday, it's different because you can like sit by the pool.
Yeah.
You go to the beach, you're like chilling. Holiday heat is different, and I just don't do hot weather very well. I've literally stayed in today.
The British heat is a very muggy heat.
But again, it'd probably be different if I was like by the seaside or if I had a swimming pool.
I have a paddling pool.
Yeah, I just don't deal with heat well. I very much like 20 with a bit of a breeze is good for me.
Yeah.
30 is kill me now.
20 is easy to cope with. Like 30, I can cope, but it's starting to get a bit of a struggle. And yeah, I would rather not be at work, would rather be outside. But I think 35 is probably, like, that's hot even for a hot country.
My friend really is a proper sun worshipper, and she loved it when she was in Berlin recently and it was 36 degrees. And I'm like, no, that's awful. Absolutely hate the idea of that. We were just saying before we started recording, Jess is really brown. She's quite tanned, but she's not been anywhere. I've just been to a festival and spent 3 days in the heat wave that we had of like it being 29 degrees. And I'm like a little bit tan / burn, but nowhere near Jess. So yeah, this is the thing. I also just don't tan. I did as a kid, but just not anymore.
I think my tan is amplified today by the fact that I am wearing like a fluorescent t-shirt and it is just making me look more brown than I am, but I am.
Yeah, I mean, I always wear black. It probably doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, I did go camping. That's kind of a holiday, but yeah. It was in England.
I mean, when I was in England, I didn't go to a festival abroad.
Yeah, true. So I did sit in the sun, and then I went to the beach on Sunday in Wales.
Fair enough. Wales is nice though.
Yeah, it was very busy. Went to Barry Island.
Barry Island. Well, today we have some ghost stories for you all.
We do. Very excited.
And thank you for some of, I think we're getting a few more emails in, which is nice.
Yeah, so I think...
Keep them coming.
Today they've already sent some, basically one person amazingly sent in like 6 stories.
Wow.
Some of them are very short, so I've grouped a couple of them together, but we did, in the last ghost stories, I had one of theirs and I've got 2 of theirs now.
Okay.
As well. So we've got, and they were a Reddit user who emailed, and then we've got 2 listener emails.
Oh, thank you guys. And yeah, keep them coming in. Like we said before, nothing's insignificant enough. Let us be the judge of that.
Yeah. So, are you ready to just get straight into it?
Yeah, I don't see why not. We've waffled on for 5 minutes.
Why not? So I'm going to start with one of the Reddit ones. So you might recognise this. It's the email wheelandsamuel@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you if that is you. When my oldest sister was basically a toddler, she came into my mum's room one night, claiming to have been surrounded by certain beings without faces while she was in her bed. One of our deeply religious friends said it was probably angels. When she was a little bit older, she was at a friend's house on the second floor and told my parents, who were on the bottom floor, that she saw a face in the window. It was hard to doubt it wasn't something supernatural because there was no way anyone could see into the second story window from the ground level without a ladder, and there surely wasn't any ladder being used that night. My grandma on my mum's side is probably a ghost. After her husband, my mum's dad, and my grandpa died, she moved and lived all over the country. Florida, Illinois, and New Mexico, to name a few. After she died in her New Mexico apartment, my mum and dad cleaned out her apartment, and the guy who got the apartment after her reported seeing a vivid image of an old woman with red hair in the corner of a room. My mum thinks it's probably her.
Okay, so a few ones to digest there.
Yeah.
So the first is the little girl saying that she saw faceless people around her bed.
Yeah, which
I'm going to say not angels.
No, I mean, nice to
Nice
think.
thought.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess if you don't want to, like, terrify your kid, then, yeah, tell them that.
Oh, yeah, tell the kid
angels.
whatever. I mean, to be fair, angels in the Bible are meant to be very scary looking.
Oh, okay.
I think they're meant to have, like, loads of eyes and stuff.
Oh.
But that definitely means you need a face.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess if the scariest thing is the devil himself, the devil is a fallen angel, so...
Exactly. So I'm going to say, if I was a kid, I would appreciate it if you told me angels. But if I was another adult when that kid had gone out the room, I would have been like...
It's not fucking angels.
We were bullshitting her, yeah?
Yeah.
Second story.
So
I guess it depends
sister,
on...
Yeah.
Pardon?
I think it's the same sister sees something else again, yeah.
I think it would depend on the age of the sister, because I would say kids do say things.
Yeah, and I do think that kids are more susceptible to seeing things as well.
Of
whether
course.
they're like supernatural or if they're just seeing things.
Yeah, because your knowledge of the world is less. You can... It could have been a reflection. It could have been a smudge on the window. Like, also our face, I think we've spoken about this before, but not our face. Our brains try to make faces
Yeah,
in
they do.
things.
Yeah.
So I'm not dismissing it by any, like, you know, I'm not trying to dismiss it. I just think, like, there needs to be more context. I need to know age and everything, but it's definitely freaky. Like, I don't want to see a face in my window.
Yeah, that's why I grouped a couple of these ones together, because they're all about people seeing things.
Yeah. And then the gran, I mean, yeah, I'm assuming she was an elderly lady with red hair then. And
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't she haunt it?
Yeah. Why
Like-
not? It's her house.
Yeah, exactly. Just because she's died, she hasn't decided to vacate the property yet.
Also, what a life to live. Like, just before, like, that is living, like, life to the fullest. Like, just moving around, living where you want, doing what you want. No husband tying her down anymore.
If I make it to a ripe old age, I want to be like either Baddie Winkle, if you follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, she's
Or there's
wonderful.
another one called, I think it's Grandma Droniak or something. I can't remember the last name. But she is also a little legend who is just, And if I ever make it to a ripe old age, I plan to be like that.
Yeah,
There also
why not?
used to be an elderly woman who would get on my bus in my hometown, who used to come on and she'd have her grey hair and pigtails. She'd have like a Fallout Boy top on, black skinny jeans with studded belts and like Converse.
Legend.
And I'm like, yep, that will be
That'll
me.
be me. Still repping Fallout Boy to the day I die.
But no, definitely thank you for the stories. We love someone who sends a few in. We especially love it as well if you ever tell us a story and then something else happens. We always want updates.
Oh my God, yeah. Keep sending them in. We'll keep going with the same people. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want the other Wheel and Samuel one, or would you like a Wheel and Samuel sandwich?
a Wheel and Sandwell sandwich, because we do, I can't say it apparently, but we do love our sandwiches here.
We do.
We often
Okay.
come and do this podcast before we've had dinner as well, so any mention of food, we're both like, yeah.
Stop. Okay, so I'll head into a different story then. So I'm going to go into Elle's story next. And this was emailed in. I'm not sure if you know Elle.
I do know
Yeah,
Elle.
I kind of got that vibe from her email. But yeah.
Yeah, one of my oldest friends.
Aww.
Hi.
Thank you, Elle.
Thank you.
I'm glad you do know her because I just want to check it is Elle and not Ellie.
No, it is Elle.
Okay, good. It's spelled like Elle, but I know someone called Ellie who spells it L.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if I email into places, they can like be Claudia or Claudia. So.
Yeah.
You know.
Apparently I'm just Jess or Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff. A lot of the old people at work think I say Jeff when I say Jess. So, here is Elle's story. Hi, Claudia and Jess. Here is my scary story. This happened about 10-11 years ago, which makes me feel sick because in my first draft, I guessed about 5 or 6 years. Then, when I realised it was more than 10 years, I nearly puked. Anyway, one morning, my dog Ruby woke me up by barking. This wasn't unusual, as she usually barked if there was some disturbance, like someone ringing the doorbell or one of our other dogs making a noise. Normally, she would stand at my bedroom door and bark. However, on this occasion, she was standing on the bed, barking in the general direction of the door. When I looked closer, I noticed she was barking at the wall and she wouldn't stop. I got out of bed and went into the hallway and Ruby followed me. As soon as we were in the hallway, Ruby stopped barking and went into the garden to do dog stuff. I noticed how horribly early it was and my brother couldn't have long left for work, so maybe that's what had set her off. Who knows? But back to bed I went, as clearly there was nothing wrong. Just as I got back into bed, the TV at the foot of my bed turned on. Weird, I thought, and what was weirder was that the TV remote had been missing for at least a week. My room was famously messy, so the only way I could have accidentally turned it on is by pressing the button on the side of the screen. I looked around for the remote, the usual places, like the floor, all around the bed, and even checked it had fallen down the back of the bed. But I couldn't find it anywhere, so I shrugged it off, turned off the TV, and tried to go back to sleep. As I tried to drift off, I felt this anxious prickle on the back of my neck, and about a minute later, the TV turned itself back on. I hadn't moved, and there was no way I could have accidentally turned it on by pressing the button or touching the remote, clearly, as I couldn't find it anywhere near me. I turned it off again and tried to fall asleep once more, and again the TV turned itself back on. At this point, I'm freaking out, and I said out loud, "Okay, I'm scared now." I gathered my duvet and my pillow and went to go to sleep in the living room. As I climbed out of bed, there in the middle of the floor was my TV remote. I had spent a week looking for this, and the last 5 minutes searching my bedroom for this remote, and there it was. It was in such an obvious place that I wouldn't have missed it when I was searching for it. I left my room and slammed the door behind me. After less than 5 minutes of trying to get to sleep in the living room, the TV in this room turned itself on too. At this point, I was tired and terrified. I shouted no, and I turned the TV off. I knew exactly where the remote was for this room, and it was right next to me, but it was just out of reach, so I knew I couldn't have accidentally turned it on. I pulled the duvet over my head and tried to go to sleep, but I was too shaken. Then about a minute later, the TV was back on again. I was hysterical by this point, so I called my dad, who luckily only worked around the corner with my brother. I don't remember the phone conversation, but I was shouting manically at him, and he told me he was on his way and I should try and calm down. I turned the TV off again and pulled the duvet up to my chin, crying my little eyes out. None of those traitorous dogs were inside to comfort me or protect me, and I was trying to picture where my dad might be and how long he'd take, completely unsure of what I needed him for. Then, all of a sudden, flick, the TV turns on again. I was gone. Still in my pyjamas, I slipped on my trainers and grabbed my car keys from the kitchen. My cat happened to be standing around enjoying the warm summer morning, so I tucked him under my arm and I legged out of the house. As I ran out the door, I noticed my brother, who for some reason was on a scooter, was scooting up the drive. He was laughing at me, and I very tearfully explained what had happened. He said, "Come on, let's go back inside and turn the TV on if it wants to be on so badly." He opened the curtains and let some daylight in, and we sat and watched movies all day. My dad gave him the day off work so he could spend it with me. He did try and explain away how the TV might have turned itself on. Maybe I did step on the remote, maybe a timer was set, or maybe it was a power surge. But for every theory, I had questions and he couldn't answer them. Sorry that was a long story, but I hope you like my spooky story.
Thank you, Elle.
Yeah, thanks, Al. That's a good one, I thought.
I do have one bone to pick with her. She's never told me this story.
It's because she always knew that you were going to have a podcast where you told ghost stories.
I will say, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying, but I've been around her mum's house like quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I will say I've always felt uneasy in it.
Oh, really?
And I'm not just saying that for the sake of like do.
Yeah.
But like genuinely, it's got a weird vibe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's also got like a really old staircase that's always freaked me out a little bit. But yeah, I've always made, like whenever I've gone to the toilet in the house, it's upstairs and it's always just kind of freaked me out a little bit. And I think we've spoken before about how like toilets are ominous places.
Literally last week, I think.
Yeah. I genuinely think the house could be legitimately haunted. I will say I've never experienced anything there. And there are a load of animals to, you know, react to things.
Yeah.
When I say a load, they've had like multiple cats at once. I think at the moment her mum has 4 dogs. But 10 years ago, they would have had at least 3.
Sounds like they have a lot of pets. And obviously, it sounds like whatever it was did spark her dog off, but kind of got over it really quickly.
Yeah, I will say Ruby barks at everything and anything.
Oh, okay. But yeah, turning the TV on, that's quite creepy, especially when you can see the remote and you know you're not the one accidentally turning it on.
And I think it's backed up by the fact that 2 TVs did it. Like, if it's one TV, you can say that that's a faulty TV. If it's 2, how are 2 TVs faulty? Also, 2 TVs in different rooms. What's the likelihood of power? I mean, I don't really know much about power surges and electrics, but what is the likelihood of electrics surging? Would it be a house surge or is it room surges? I don't know.
I would imagine like a power surge to kind of be like a power cut. So if
it would affect the whole house.
Yeah, or at least it wouldn't just affect the TV. Do you know what I mean? She would notice, like, even if it was a room, like you would notice like a light or your phone would stop charging or you would notice something else. Yeah.
Also, like power surges, surely it doesn't have the capacity to turn things on.
Yeah. It would
perhaps it would make a light brighter or like make a light glow, but I don't think it would turn a TV on. But again, write into us if you are an electrician, because I know nothing about electricity.
No idea. Well, I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, I mean, I could put a cannula in you, but ask me I could just about change a light bulb. Oh no, I can also look at a circuit box and flicker-dicker things back on.
You can
not
flick
circuit
a dick.
box. Yeah, as I said it, I was like that.
Do you know, I actually had a dream the other day that you taught me how to take blood from someone because you told me it was a good, valuable life lesson.
I mean, to be fair, if you're ever in a war situation...
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, okay. Apparently I've been told that I need to watch that, but after I've finished pregnancy.
Oh. I mean...
Not for like the bad bit, but just because I was telling my friend that I wanted to watch it, but I'm like just been like emotional, like crying at adverts kind of thing.
Oh.
And she was like, "Yeah, don't watch it if you're feeling emotional.
you will cry for sure."
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she meant because obviously it's all about women having babies and stuff, and I was like, I think it hits you hard regardless, because if you're a human, it's you don't have to have kids or care. You don't even have to be like the biggest kid lover.
But no, I've heard very good things.
It is good, but it's definitely like sometimes good to take a break from it and go outside and remember the world is shit, but not as shit as that TV show. But no, thank you, Elle.
Yeah,
and
really
I will
good
say,
story.
I think your house is haunted. I think I might have said this to you before. I hope you're not offended if I haven't. But you don't live there anymore, so it's fine.
Oh, that's fine then.
Mum still does, but you know.
It's okay, it's just your mum. Oh, bless. Okay, so next story. And this one is sent in by someone called Lenny.
Okay, hi Lenny.
I don't know if you know Lenny.
I think I know Lenny.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I really enjoyed how he starts it. So
Okay.
okay, here we go. Lenny's story. Hey girls, I've been jamming the podcast recently and I'm loving it. It's awesome. Thought I might share a little spooky anecdote that happened to me a while back. Right, so I moved to the UK about 9 years ago for uni. At the time, I was renting out the spare room in an elderly couple's house because it was dead cheap and walking distance from uni. The house itself was fairly old, but it had definitely been renovated. I'm not a very heavy sleeper, and so I used to have to get up in the middle of the night pretty often to go grab some water. The bathroom was across the hall from my room, and you had to go past the stairwell to get there. The stairwell was always really creepy because the landing at the top was always illuminated by the streetlights, but it descended into darkness and you couldn't see the bottom because it was pitch black. A couple of times as I was walking to the bathroom, I swore I could hear what sounded like a little girl screaming coming from down the stairs. It always really freaked me out, but I always put it down to just being half awake, essentially just dreaming. But while I was at uni, I started seeing this girl. Seeing as in we started dating, not seeing as in she appeared out of nowhere. And she actually happened to live just down the street from me. I usually stayed over at hers because we had a lot more privacy there than at my place. But the one time she stayed over at mine, she shook me awake and was pointing next to the bed, saying that she'd just seen someone standing there watching us. When I asked who, she said it looked like a 6 or 7-year-old girl. The creepiest thing is that I'd never told her about the screaming girl I could hear coming from down the stairs. That's one of my little stories. I hope you're well and I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Lenny.
Yeah, thank
you,
you,
And also
Lenny.
thank you for the compliment. And he actually messaged me and complimented me on the podcast. And it means
Oh,
a lot.
really?
It really does.
Oh,
because
bless. Thank you.
sometimes you don't know if you're just like carrying on doing this thing and like
Yeah.
speaking to yourself. Like, obviously I can see who listens, but like I'm never sure if they're just like pity listens. So it's very nice to get compliments. Thank you. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
enjoying it. I hope you continue to as well.
Like, obviously, I listen to it back, but like, I sometimes feel like it's a bit weird listening to myself, but also I'm like, am I the only one listening?
Yeah, sometimes you don't know if you're actually just speaking into nothing, like just me and Jess just hanging out basically at this
Yeah,
point, and it's
basically.
being recorded. But no, that is freaky. And I wonder,
Yeah.
also, like, when you I have questions and I could just message you, but I would rather you emailed the podcast
Yes,
with
email
updates.
in.
I have questions about like what sort of screaming, because like I'm assuming you mean like scared screaming.
Yeah, and part of me feels like if it was like a full-on, like a shriek, like a real
You wouldn't be
shrill.
able to sleep through it or anything.
Yeah, and also you would be like, who the fuck is that?
You'd be concerned.
Yeah, you'd be like, is someone okay? So I wonder if it was like maybe a bit of a like a...
I
Yeah.
think also a part of me would be worried that there wasn't a physical, like, I would be worried in case there was a physical person downstairs.
Yeah.
And I guess I wonder how you thought it wasn't an actual person.
Yeah.
Like, what
you
didn't
thought
make-
you
what made you not
hallucinated it.
explore that?
Yeah.
I will say, actually, when I was writing up a script recently, I thought I could hear someone downstairs. Bear in mind, I live in like a terrace house and I've only got one next door neighbour because we're on the end. But I thought I could hear someone downstairs and I wasn't sure if it was Mikey or not. So I
Yeah.
like grabbed my water bottle because I have a big 750ml stainless
Yeah, you
steel
do.
water bottle and it was full of water, and I've always, like, if I'm walking home at night, that's what I hold in my hand because I'm like, this could do some damage.
Yeah.
So I like grabbed it and was holding it and I was like being really still and listening out for who was there. And then I like, my house is creaky, so I had to walk over to the door and just like quickly open it and I was like, who's there? And nothing. And I like went downstairs and there was no one there. And I think it was just next door
Okay. You could
and I
hear
just heard the
banging.
noise. Yeah, I don't know, that just popped into my head. But
Oh, bless you. You thought you were being haunted by someone downstairs.
or robbed. I think also it doesn't help that there's been quite a few burglaries in my local area
okay.
recently.
Yeah.
It's just something that's been on my mind a bit more, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
But thank you, Lenny. And
yeah.
yeah, any updates on why you didn't think it was like a physical being?
Also, he finishes it saying, that's one of my little stories.
Oh, Lenny.
Come on, Lenny, you know what we're going to ask for. You already know.
Where are the other stories?
Don't finish. If you don't want to email it and us again, you just be like, that's my one and only story. Bye.
Might be a little bit suspicious if you end it like that, but you know, we'll respect your
don't
decision.
tell us you have more and then don't give us. We're like hungry little children. We want more. Oh. So, are you ready for the final slice of bread
I am.
from Will and Samuel again? Also, thank you to this person, the first person who has actually sent in all of their stories. So,
Yes, thank
you
you.
very
You get a
much.
gold star.
yeah, star listener.
And we'll even talk to the ghosts for you and say that you don't need any more stories. You're storied
Yeah.
up.
Yes, because we have that power.
Yeah. BFFs of the spirit world.
After my oldest sister married, she moved into a haunted house in the panhandle of Texas. She found this out after shopping at one of the local antique stores. As one of the older employees was handwriting her receipt, she asked her if that was the one on the corner, instantly recognising the address. She then goes on to tell her about an old man that died on the porch of my sister's house after he fell and couldn't get up. The only thing he could do was make a pounding noise with his cane. The old man's wife tried to help him up, but she ended up falling right on top of him, so they were out there for who knows how long, until help finally arrived. The old man unfortunately didn't make it, and his wife went into a nursing home. My oldest sister noted the lady's story, but still wanted to do some pretty serious renovations to the place. It was built in 1950s, so carpeted bathroom floors, turquoise paint and cabinets, and yellow tile countertops were the norm back in those days. Shortly after finishing a good percentage of the renovations, she started hearing what sounded like the same heavy pounding noise as described by the antique shop lady. Now, her husband and my brother-in-law worked in the energy field, so he was gone for months at a time, and he would come back for a few weeks and then leave again, so he never really experienced anything. This is the cliche part of the story. This was until one night. They were both lying in bed and he hears the knocking noise too. He goes downstairs and it sounds like the source is changing locations. He checks the closet and it sounds like it's now in the living room. So he checks the living room and then it sounds like it's outside. So now he believes her. About 4 years later, they decided to try and sell the house and move back to her hometown. And while she was in the process of selling it, the burglar alarm went off a few times, but there were no signs of attempted break-ins. Her retailer told her that maybe someone came in through the kitchen window, but my brother-in-law's brother told my sister that he didn't think even his daughter could fit through that window. Other times, she would come over to our house because we decided to move down there with her, and she would clean off the countertops before leaving, and after coming home, she would find dirt on the countertops from outside, and the kitchen smelled like breakfast food, even though she didn't have anything in the fridge. I even did some work picking up shingles for them when they redid their roof, and didn't see anything. I figured the old man was okay with me for getting his former house back to its somewhat original condition, but it definitely taught my brother-in-law to be a believer in ghosts.
First of all, that is such a sad story.
I know, so sad, isn't
The
it?
thought, I have such a soft spot for elderly people, and the thought of a little old man not being able to get up, and then his wife falls on top
I
of him,
know.
and then obviously she gets found laying on top of her dead husband.
I know, and obviously she couldn't get up, so there's nothing she could do, bless her. And she
So
would
that
have
is
known.
also-
Oh, so sad. It is so sad.
So yeah, that's very sad. It doesn't sound like they were particularly annoyed with you though. I think they were just maybe didn't want to be forgotten.
Yeah, and maybe they did just feel like too much of their house was being changed.
Yeah, but then I mean, surely they'd be a bit more malevolent if that was the case.
But also, like, I get the pounding and I get why you would hear that, but I don't get the dirt on the kitchen countertop. And
Maybe
like, the
they were
breaking
gardeners or
in.
something.
Yeah, maybe.
The breaking in I'm not sure about, but I suppose that's just movement around the house, isn't it?
Yeah. So that could have been anything.
Especially when she talks about the kitchen being a place of activity and then it being presumably the kitchen window that was tripped.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just the fact that unexplained movement in the house.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, definitely very sad, but also quite sweet. Just
Yeah.
a couple that didn't want to... Well, the old lady was still alive, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was in a nursing home, so...
maybe he was just looking for his wife.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, I've made it sadder.
Sad. Oh.
Oh, well, I mean, it sounds like at least he appreciated that you were trying to get his house into its former glory.
Yeah, redoing the roof for him, bless him.
And if I was a ghost, even if someone changed my house around and I really hated how it looked, there's a few things you could do. Like, I really hate beech wood and stuff, and like glass tables and that. But even if someone did that and they went full chrome and really modern and minimalist, which is like the opposite of my house, I would just be happy that someone was enjoying my space.
Yeah, and you've got to appreciate that, like, times move as well. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and you know what? It's better a house being sort of bastardised in your eyes than it is it being laid empty and going to ruin in that way.
Yeah, and like crumbling and falling to pieces.
Yeah, exactly, like going into disrepair.
Yeah.
I suppose all that's left to say really is thank you to everyone for their stories.
Yeah, massive thank you to everyone. And as we've said numerous times, please send in anything you have, no matter how small.
Yeah, keep sending them in.
Or long. Even if you're like, oh, it's a bit long-winded, I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine. Like we said, we can make it into a whole episode of just that.
Even if you want to bullet point it, I'm happy to write it out properly.
And I suppose all that's left to say then is
stay spooky.
Hey guys, if you have a ghost story or a case suggestion, please email us, truecrimecoventpod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Twitter @TrueCrimeCoven or on Instagram and Facebook where we are @TrueCrimeCovenPod.
Also, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could rate us wherever you're listening to this right now, be it Spotify, Apple Music, or if you're on YouTube, give us a little thumbs up, click that bell, get notifications every time we post.
Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from.
Make these two witches smile.
Thanks, witches.